Am I the A for breaking up with my girlfriend after she cheated on me without hearing her out? So I, 27M, broke up with my girlfriend, 25F, of 3 years after finding out she had been talking to some guy on Reddit and it turned into an emotional affair. She's always been pretty active on Reddit, way more than I am. We live together, and around a week ago, I noticed she would occasionally turn off her display as soon as I walked into a room. Weird, but she was casual about it, and I didn't really think much of it. One day, she showed me something funny on Reddit on her phone, and I noticed the color of her profile picture was different. I didn't really bring it up, but it was always at the back of my mind. About a week later, while she was at a dinner, I borrowed her MacBook while mine was out being repaired. When I was logging into Reddit, I noticed that there was a throwaway account, username, and password also saved on Chrome. I logged in and saw a lot of things. There were posts from subreddits like r4r, dirty r4r, etc. Her homepage was also filled with various r4r subreddit posts. She had a bunch of chats, but the most recent one had an image as the most recent message. Turns out, she had been messaging this guy for a while, around a month. Scrolling all the way up, it seemed to start off pretty innocent and platonic, like they both were just looking for a friend. She had replied to him based on an R4R post he'd made. They talked about their lives, she didn't mention me, shared memes, but it quickly turned into flirting. Then after they wanted to see what each other looked like, it started to turn more explicit. They sent each other several nude photos. One of the photos she sent was also one she had sent me a couple of days ago. They were talking daily. I confronted her the next morning, and she broke down pretty quickly and admitted everything. She said they never met in person, but she confessed that she developed feelings for him, and that it was a distraction from some issues she's been dealing with. She claims it was all online and didn't mean anything, but to me, the emotional cheating feels just as bad, if not worse. I was furious. I broke up with her right away, and that any type of cheating was a deal breaker for me. I didn't want to hear any excuses, and I left to a friend's place. The last thing I said to her was to move her stuff out of my place. But after I ended things, I found out she's been going through a really rough time mentally for a while. She hadn't told me. One of her close friends reached out and said she's been struggling with anxiety and depression for months and didn't want to burden me with it. Apparently, she's been seeing a therapist but hasn't been coping well and was in a bad place emotionally. Her friend says it doesn't excuse what she did, but that maybe I should take that into account before completely cutting her off. Now, I'm torn. On one hand, cheating is still cheating. She lied to me for weeks, and it's hard for me to look past that. But on the other hand, I can't help but feel guilty. If she really was struggling and I didn't notice, does that make me an asshole for leaving her when she needed support the most? Some of our mutual friends are saying I should have at least talked it through with her before ending things so abruptly. Some are saying it was just online and not real cheating. Of course, while I don't agree with that, they think I should have talked to her more before ending it because she was struggling and seeking connection in a bad way, while others agree I was right to walk away. She's been texting me, apologizing, saying that cheating was a symptom of how messed up she's been feeling, not a reflection of how she feels about me. She says she's cut off contact with the guy and deleted her account, and that she loves me and wants to work through it. She blames it on her mental state and says it was a mistake she'll never repeat. But I feel like the trust is completely shattered. Update. Hey everyone, I wanted to give you all an update since my original post. First, I just want to say thank you for all the feedback. It reinforced my perspective on the situation, and reading through everyone's comments made me feel less alone in all this. So, after I broke up with her, against your judgment, I met her. I was honestly so emotionally drained and confused. She kept insisting it was just an emotional thing, that nothing physical happened, and that she was going through some mental health struggles which led her to look for comfort in the wrong place. During that conversation, she explained a lot more about what she had been dealing with: anxiety, depression, and feeling disconnected, not just from me, but from everything in her life. She broke down crying, saying the Reddit thing was a way to escape her problems and that it was never about this guy specifically. She even showed me the messages where she cut him off, telling him she regretted everything. I'll admit, I felt bad for her. Mental health is a real struggle, and it hit me that maybe I hadn't noticed how bad things had gotten for her. But I told her that what she did still broke my trust. It didn't matter that it wasn't physical or that it was online. The emotional betrayal hurt just as much, maybe more. She kept asking for another chance, saying she'd go to therapy, work on her issues, and that we could rebuild if I was willing. I told her I needed time to think, because I wasn't sure if I could ever trust her again. I felt torn. I still had feelings for her, but every time I thought about what she did, it really hurt me. So, here's where I landed, like you all suggested. I decided not to get back together with her. It was hard, but I realized that even though I care about her and sympathize with her struggles, I just couldn't see myself being in a relationship where trust had been broken like that. I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I know that staying together out of guilt or pity for her mental health wouldn't be fair to either of us. She needs to focus on herself and heal, and I need to move on and heal in my own way. She took the news surprisingly well, considering everything. She thanked me for listening to her and understanding where she was coming from, but she also accepted that we're not getting back together. We've cut off contact, and I think that's for the best. I've been doing okay since the breakup. It's been tough, but I'm starting to focus on myself more. Thank you again to everyone who gave me advice. It really helped me sort through my feelings, and I'm glad I took the time to process everything before making any big decisions. I know this is all cushy and not the spicy update you guys want to hear, so I asked ChatGPT to write a spicier version of my post. Okay, so things went from bad to absolutely insane after I posted last. If you thought the original situation was messy, you're not ready for what happened next. After I broke up with her, she was relentless. Non-stop calls, texts, emails, you name it. She was begging me to meet up so we could talk things through because apparently I didn't understand the whole story. I wasn't planning on responding, but then I got a message from one of her friends who told me I really needed to hear what she had to say. Curiosity got the better of me, so I agreed to meet up. I expected her to try and guilt trip me again with the whole "it wasn't physical" routine. But what she dropped on me instead? Absolutely wild. Turns out the guy she was talking to on Reddit wasn't just some random dude. He was a married guy who lived halfway across the country. She swore up and down that she didn't know he was married at first and that they were just messaging about hobbies and life stuff. But get this, the guy's wife found out about their little online affair and contacted my girlfriend before I even knew what was going on. Apparently, she tracked down my girlfriend's social media and blasted her with angry messages, calling her a homewrecker and all kinds of other names. But here's where it gets crazier. The guy? He's not some regular Reddit user. He's one of those niche internet influencers in a weird underground subculture. She admitted that she got caught up in the thrill of talking to him because he had this mini fame online, and the photos she sent him? Yeah, there were more than she originally let on. I'm talking about full-on explicit stuff. She told me that they had a virtual relationship for months before I ever knew it. And remember how she swore it wasn't physical? Well, turns out she had been planning to meet up with him in person, but the whole thing got derailed when his wife found out and threatened to expose both of them on social media. So yeah, her claim that nothing physical happened was technically true, but only because she got caught before she could make it happen. I was completely speechless at this point, but then she dropped the final bomb. She said she wanted to work through it with me because she was pregnant. Yep, you read that right. She told me she was pregnant and that she hadn't told me earlier because she was confused and scared. My jaw hit the floor. I asked her if there was any chance it was the Reddit guy's baby, but she swore it was mine. But honestly, with everything else she had lied about, how was I supposed to believe her? I was absolutely done at this point. I told her straight up that I didn't believe a word coming out of her mouth and that I didn't want anything to do with her drama. I walked out of the cafe, blocked her on everything, and decided I'd figure out what to do about the baby situation, if there even was one, later. But here's the wildest part. A few days later, I got a message from the wife of the Reddit guy. She found me through mutual friends online, don't ask me how, and sent me a long message explaining that she had left her husband after discovering he had been doing this same thing with multiple other women for years. Apparently, my ex-girlfriend was just the latest in a long line of girls he'd lured into these online affairs, promising them attention, validation, and the fantasy of being with someone famous online. This whole situation is beyond messed up. I've cut all contact with my ex, and I'm getting tested to make sure I'm not the father because who even knows at this point? If she is pregnant, I'll do what I need to do for the kid, but I'm not going back to her. I'm done with her lies, her drama, and the whole shady situation. Thanks again to everyone who commented on my original post and gave advice. If this whole thing has taught me anything, it's that some people are way more complicated and toxic than you'd ever expect. Time to focus on myself and move on from this madness.